Zeb Wells and Patrick Gleason put Peter Parker's life on the line as the hero battles the radiation sickness he received from the UFOs, while Ben Reilly stops at nothing to ensure the villain team answer for their violent crimes. Zeb Wells takes the story in a very unique direction, with the entire issue basically becoming a hospital drama for a minute as we deal with Peter Parker's radiation sickness. I thoroughly enjoyed that Zeb didn't use the Beyond Corp to fix Peter after one issue. The story very easily could have gone that way, with Peter being fixed by them and realizing they aren't all that bad and giving his blessing to Ben to be Spider-Man, but I like that it took the slightly more dramatic route, with Peter fighting his own body for survival and Ben racked with guilt over what had happened, being it was kind of his fault. Again, a change from the norm is we could have had Ben dealing with the guilt over multiple issues before approaching Peter for permission, or even not getting permission, but it was great to see that tackled right here and now. It felt very adult of Ben to confront all of these problems that were happening and not just run away from his problems and decide to deal with them another time, which leads to a really great parallel with Peter in that first issue, in issue 75, where he runs away from all his problems and deals with them later on and wants to just forget about them and just be Spider-Man, whereas here we have the complete opposite of that, which is really cool. Patrick Gleason continues his just fantastic looking artwork, and I really like how the colour palette was slightly toned down and muted for this issue given the seriousness of the story. The final pages as well reminded me a lot of Superior Spider-Man, mainly thanks to how sinister the Spider-Man felt while battling the villains. It was sort of like the gloves off Spider-Man, he isn't taking prisoners, and Patrick does this really great almost Batman sort of attack from the shadow stuff, which was a fantastic tone setter. The Amazing Spider-Man issue 76 was a fantastically dramatic and serious tone setter for Ben Reilly's Spider-Man, paralleling some of Peter's recent character journey through the Nick Spencer run and from last issue, while taking the book in a new direction. I'm going to give this issue a 9.5 out of 10. The Amazing Spider-Man issue 76 finds Aunt May get a call from Peter saying that he's in hospital and she needs to come quick, but May knows that wasn't Peter, rushing out the door as Ben hangs up the phone, as one of the doctors asks him what his supposed brother Peter got into since he's got toxicosis and radiation poisoning. Ben says that his suit said that it was ionizing radiation, but he turned off his HUD to bring Peter to the hospital so his handlers don't see. Soon MJ arrives and demands to see Peter as the doctor tells her to go and speak with Peter's brother, but MJ is confused since Peter doesn't have a brother as Ben leaves the hospital and Peter begins convulsing, with doctors rushing in to help him. In his mind, Peter can feel the danger thanks to his spider sense, but he cannot move, trapped within his own body as something tries to kill him. At the Beyond Tower, Ben returns to find Janie and Langstrom waiting for him, having tracked his suit. Langstrom is upset he took his costume off and cut comms, but Ben says he had to deal with a problem with the other guy, but it's no big deal. Langstrom tells him the UFOs escaped and now he needs to find them, not before his contractual rest period. Ben hopes that can wait, but Langstrom knows that it can't since the UFOs are at large and the PR from him letting them go is bad. Marcus takes his leave, wanting to schedule Ben in for another meeting with Dr. Kafka, as Ben collapses in a chair, telling Janie that Peter is in real bad shape. At the hospital, May arrives to see Peter, asking MJ what happened since she only knows about the radiation. Peter awakens, saying that some villains attacked Empire State, as MJ covers for him, saying that he was meeting with Professor Connors about his grades and he was caught in the attack, exposed to something she doesn't know. May says that won't do as a final answer, wanting a word with Dr. Burdick. MJ says that he'll be back in an hour, and he isn't really the type to answer questions, but May knows that he won't like his life for the foreseeable future until Peter gets the treatment he needs, storming out to find the doctor. Ben meanwhile meets with Colleen and Misty, who brief him on how his suit should take down all of the UFOs quite easily. Ben isn't listening, apologizing since this feels weird finishing this without Spider-Man. Marcus stops him since there is only one Spider-Man as far as he's concerned. Colleen tells him to have some respect for Peter, as Ben knows it's not right, taking off for 1 hour to go and check on Peter. Dr. Burdick meanwhile comments about how Peter's aunt has been hounding him, but they are running tests on Peter now, and him being conscious is a good sign since it means his organs are working and hopefully they can help him when the tests come back. The doctor leaves to deal with a radiologist as Ben arrives. MJ isn't too pleased to see him, thinking that he is responsible, as Ben apologizes, hoping that he will be okay. Peter weakly tells Ben that he better start talking, otherwise MJ will start swinging on him and he's in no condition to stop her. Ben knows that if he could, he would take take Peter's place, but he's still on his feet and he still wants to do the Spider-Man thing, but he cannot do it without Peter's blessing. Peter is surprised since he remembers the man saying that he wasn't asking for permission, and Ben admits he didn't handle that right since he's not used to getting the things he needs or people to help him. Peter knows it's hard when Ben is around since it feels like he's sharing his life and he doesn't know if there is enough of it to go around in the first place, which makes it easier to ignore that it's harder for Ben since he deserves to be who he is and deserves what makes him happy. Peter knows that he deserves to be Spider-Man, giving his blessing as he reassures his friend that he'll be out of there in no time, telling Ben to be amazing. Ben leaves and MJ says to Peter that she would be very mad at him if he wasn't the sweetest man alive. Peter doesn't say anything but soon says that he's just been waiting for Ben to get out of earshot since he can't feel his body anymore. As Ben suits up, Peter begins seizuring again, with the doctors working on him again as he feels his body trying to shut down, knowing that he cannot let it and he's got to escape. It's too late as Peter falls into a red darkness, going unconscious again. Elsewhere, the UFOs are all holed up in one of their safe houses when suddenly they are attacked by a swarm of vacuum bearings which rip vapor apart as Spider-Man attacks, deploying lead chaff from the shadows to incapacitate X-Ray as the villains realize that it's Spider-Man who is violently attacking them.